Hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Reviews. Today we are continuing the Harry Potter series. And just as a quick reminder, I grew up watching these films and I did rewatch them, of course, before I did my review. And, things have changed. So I'm excited to talk about this one in particular because this one is a lot different than I remember as a child. So I'm really excited to talk about this one. So let's go ahead and jump right into talking about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire was released in 2005. It was written by Steve Kloves, of course, and was directed by Mike Newell, which is this weird thing no one really knows because, of course, you have David Yates and you have Chris Columbus, and, these two movies, The Goblet of Fire and The Prisoner of Azkaban, were directed by just two individuals, which I find interesting and also confusing because, I think that the person that directed the third movie, I forget what his name was. It was Alfonso something. I think he did a really, really good job of directing the third one. I don't really know why they kept him on, why they didn't keep him on for the fourth one. But I think that this one might have been better if they had considered keeping him on. And I don't really know why they didn't. But it's just an interesting thought I had. So, no spoilers, of course, but this one takes place in the fourth year of Harry Potter, of school in Harry Potter. And essentially, there's this Triwizard Tournament, where they are basically allowing three schools to compete, Hogwarts and two other ones, Beauxbatons and Durmstrang. And they're competing. One person from each of those schools gets to compete, except for Harry Potter, whose name was in the Goblet of Fire on accident somehow. And he has to compete in this tournament now, which could leave him dead. And first of all, I do want to comment on one thing, which is this is widely known as the year without the haircuts, and I think it's dumb. Not the meme. I think the meme's hilarious. I think that they should have gotten haircuts. I don't know why they all look so gruffy. I guess maybe it's supposed to match the tone of the film, but it kind of doesn't. So I don't really know why that is. I really couldn't tell you. I think overall this movie was supposed to be really good. This was one of my favorite books, and still is one of my favorite books in this series. And I think that the movie is still really good, but not quite as good as it could have been, right? For one, they changed a lot from the book, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'm going to make a whole video about that in the future. But, they changed quite a bit from the book that I think they didn't need to make this a successful film. But I think that the introduction of our villain here didn't work as well as I thought it did when I was younger. Okay, so this is where we're getting to some kind of spoilers. Okay, so spoilers if you haven't seen Goblet of Fire somehow. We have Mad-Eye Moody, right, who's not the villain technically, but Barty Crouch Jr. is the villain who used Polyjuice Potion to turn into Mad-Eye Moody, so technically he is the villain here. And maybe it's just because I've seen it a lot, but I feel like they hint at it way too much earlier in the film. Way too much. And of course then there's a whole thing where he does with his tongue where he's right? That's pretty obvious, throughout the whole film. It's pretty easy. As soon as he goes into the pensieve, audiences are going to know that that's going to be him. Of course, people have read the book and people have watched the movie over and over and over again. I get it. But, I'm trying to imagine this if I had not known about it, and I feel like it's pretty easy to tell. Which is annoying, because I think that this twist at the end of this film is particularly fantastic, and could have delivered a really, really awesome ending. And I think it just kind of faltered a little bit because of that. I do think the introduction of Voldemort worked really, really well. Voldemort's one of my favorite villains. I think he's great in the Harry Potter series. And I think it works really, really well in this film. I think the introduction of him is really, really good. I do think that the battle at the end of the film is really good, if not a little anticlimactic. I think that it does rush a little bit. I think we get through it a little bit too quickly. I think we should have taken our time there and really built up some more of the actual fighting that they do. But that's okay. I do love Ralph Fiennes' delivery of his monologue before he even acknowledges Harry there. That's one of my favorite parts of the entire series, in my opinion. It's just really chilling and really good. I do think that the main issue that I had here was Ron's issue with Harry. Right? So in the beginning of the film, we have this issue where Ron's mad at Harry because Harry got in the Triwizard Tournament and didn't tell Ron how he did it, even though he doesn't know how he did it either. And I get it. Okay, I do. I understand. But, like, I feel like it's really drawn out here. And it's drawn out in the book, I think, a little bit, too. But in the movie, it's really difficult for us as audiences to pick a side, really. And I think that's why I didn't... Civil War didn't really work for me for the MCU. It's a good movie, but it's definitely not my favorite by any means. And I think it has had a lot to do with picking a side. And even here, in the hour that they are mad at each other, is just really annoying to watch as an audience member. And I do think that it could have been fixed if they kind of sped it along a little bit, which is also my issue. The time in between tasks, like, almost nothing happens, and it's really long. It's a long time to go without anything really big happening, especially when Ron's mad at Harry. And it's a long process that could have been shortened, I think, a little bit. I do want to talk about some of the actors before we wrap up. So, starting with Brendan Gleeson as Mad-Eye Moody. This is one of the few movies he's in. I believe he pops up in The Order of the Phoenix at the end. And I think I know he's in Deathly Hallows Part 2. I don't think he's in Part 1, though. Regardless, he's pioneering this character that, people have grown up with. They love Mad-Eye Moody. Mad-Eye Moody is one of the best characters in the Harry Potter universe, in my opinion. And I think he does a really, really fantastic job. I can't imagine anybody else doing this, to be completely honest with you. I just don't see it working to the caliber that Gleeson brings here, and it really, truly does work very well. Next, I want to talk about Ralph Fiennes as Voldemort. He is phenomenal. He gets better. I think the design of the character, I do want to talk about the design, is a little bit freaky to start with here, and I'm a little sad they went a different route in the next movie, which I'll talk about more when I talk about The Order of the Phoenix next week, but I think that he looks really creepy here. And then, I remember when I was younger, there was an early draft of the trailer that I watched for The Order of the Phoenix. And the end of the trailer has Voldemort leaning over Harry and he was like, "You will lose everything." And it was like super creepy. His eyes were red and stuff. It was super cool. And I think that's how it should have been. I think that I want a book accurate Voldemort here. And we don't really get one. It's close, but not really. I mean, like, the Voldemort in the book is drastically different. I mean, find a book and read the description of Voldemort, and it's quite different. And I think that it's scary, and I understand it's supposed to be a PG-13 movie, but it can be scary and still be PG-13. And I think it would have been even better if we were scared, right? Because Voldemort's creepy, but I'm not scared of him in particular. And I think that having even a little bit of a horror aspect to this film might have amplified its, complexity just a little bit. Real quick on the side, I do want to talk about Robert Pattinson. I think he was wonderful in this film. I think it was really cool to see him as a younger person, and then now he's grown up and he's doing the Batman next year, and he's got, which I'm hoping is good, and of course The Devil All the Time, which if you haven't seen that, please go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. I love it. But yeah, check that out. I did want to mention that he is here, and I do like him a lot as Cedric Diggory. I did figure I would mention that in at least passing. But overall, I think this movie's really good, and there's a few issues, but for the most part, it's really solid. The special effects are really, really good. The 3 tasks are really entertaining and really fun to watch. I love the epic climax of this film. Is really, really cool, and I think it is one of the better Harry Potter movies, if not one of the better books. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire an A-. If you guys like Harry Potter, please consider subscribing. We're going through every single one during the week. I have a bunch of other stuff going on. Every single day I have another video coming out. So if you guys like this kind of stuff, stick around, subscribe, like the video, share it to your friends, and please consider subscribing, mainly because I will be dressing up like Spider-Man once I hit 150. So if I haven't hit 150 by the time this comes out, subscribe, and then I will dress up like Spider-Man and go to Walmart. So I'm really excited for that video, if not a little nervous. But thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.